Welcome to today's reflection. Today's reflection is on session one of 6 sessions involving a basketball team. The way this video will be formatted is I will first give you a rundown of what the session entailed, and then we will have a reflection on how we thought the session went and where we think progression can be made moving forward and what to happen in order for these progressions to happen. So today's session involved a quick warm-up using some cardio, some light jogging, as well as some dynamic stretching. Moving on from there, there were some muscle activation exercises. Some examples of these exercises would be the inchworm or some power skips in order to raise the body's temperature, get the players nice and warmed up and ready for the main body of the exercise. A staple of all our sessions is going to be sprint mechanics. Sprinting plays a major role in the sport of basketball, and therefore having proper and correct sprint mechanics, I feel, is very important. So each session will involve post warm-up the implementation of sprint mechanics. Today's session began with the A skip, and since some of the players, this is their first time being introduced to sprint mechanics, it was very important to spend some time on this today. From there, we moved on to some more basketball orientated drills, and specifically the 3-man weave, implementing some game sense exercises, followed by the speed dribble, again, where we can incorporate the sprint mechanics into the game of basketball by adding the basketball while we're sprinting. Following on from this drill, there was a cool down involving just some static stretching and partner stretching at the end. So how do we feel that the session went? As it was the first session, there obviously were some nerves. As a coach, we wanted to make a good first impression and set a professional tone, and I feel like we did that from the outset, which was good, and the players seemed to really buy into that. Some of the positive results from today's session were that the players were very enthusiastic. The players seemed to pick up on the enthusiasm of the coach, which then translated into the intensity of performance throughout the session. Players fed off the coach's energy, like we said, and another really positive aspect of the session was that especially with players not having a lot of experience with sprint mechanics and this being their first introduction to sprint mechanics, they did pick it up and seemed to grasp the concepts that were trying to be put forth by the coach. Some of the negative aspects of the session would be that because this was the first time players had been introduced to the sprint mechanics, it took a little bit longer to teach those skills. So the timing of the session that had been planned was a little skewed. An evaluation of the session overall, it seemed that players seemed to enjoy the game sense skills and the games that were more similar to actual game situations more than the drills. Another evaluation of the session was that it was very quiet. There was not a lot of communication among players, which is something we'd really like to remedy and see change in future sessions. So it will be a focus of sessions moving forward. I think more encouragement is probably needed by myself as the coach, but then also as teammates. They need to encourage each other more, again, just to bring some energy into the hall and into the drills and up the intensity of the session overall. In conclusion to the session, I think it was a very good first session. I think the implementation of the A skip for the sprint mechanics went over very well. The players showed competence in the drills that were put forth to them, and they overcame all the challenges that were set. And so overall, it was a very positive session. Moving forward, I think I would maybe stagger the drills and the game sense exercises in order to keep players engaged from the beginning to the end. Um, but overall, I feel that today's session, as an introductory session almost, was a complete success.